Hello, welcome to the Carousel of Conversations. You're in for a real treat. Join us as we take a spin through the past, present, and future of all things Disney. Here, where there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow just a podcast away. Let the podcast begin.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Carousel of Conversations. We have Noah. Noah, is that you?
It's me!
It's not Noah!
I'm back!
We had to bring Spencer back for another Marvel episode.
Yeah, I tied him up in the closet, so if anybody was wondering where he's at right now.
Oh, but today Noah's out on vacation. Spencer will be joining him tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I had to stay for school, but I leave tomorrow.
Gotcha. So we're recording a little bit early. We're recording way before Thanksgiving so that we can post this next week. And so Noah was already gone, and Spencer graciously decided to join us. And then Jessalyn was supposed to be here tonight, but Jessalyn also wasn't feeling well. But this was the only night we had to record, so we thought we're just gonna roll with it and geek out a little bit on some Marvel. And who better to do that with than me and Spencer? This is the perfect crew for that sort of conversation. So tonight we're going to be talking about our review of the Fantastic Four new movie it's the First Steps, I think, right?
Yeah, First Steps.
That's the new title. Okay, first, I have to ask you, and this is totally not on our notes, so I hope you're ready for this. Have you seen the new We Call It Imagineering yet?
I did see that.
Oh man, I just have seen the first 10 minutes of it. And,
oh my gosh.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Dude, like, I was watching it, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but they revealed they're going to have an animatronic walking Olaf character in Paris and Hong Kong. And, like, they showed a video of, like, the Imagineers talking about it with him just walking around the background, and it was so trippy because it's like it just looks like he's there, like it's the character from the movie, but it's real.
What was even more incredible about it was like you could remove his arms and you could remove his nose. Like it was like legit an Olaf walking around that you could remove. But then like they were just having a conversation, and Olaf came up to them after walking around in the background and just started talking to them. I was like, dude, Push the Trash Can was one thing, and Push was super awesome. This is like another level of cool that I hope they implement all over, because like that, it was the coolest thing I think I've ever seen.
And I don't know if you saw it, and it's really a perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about, but they talked a little bit about Herbie, the animatronic they made to promote Fantastic Four, and they literally said it only took them 3 months to design, build, and get him in Disneyland.
Yeah, I think that would be super cool to have. I remember growing up going to Disneyland and seeing Push the talking trash can, like roaming around talking, and I knew who was controlling it. I knew all the things, but it still didn't break from the magic, and so like it made it super special and super cool. And like I can't wait to see more of that implemented on the parks. I feel like they're missing a lot of that. Like, sure, Disneyland has more of the roaming characters, and Disney World started adopting that with the summer kids program that they did, where they had more roaming characters. I feel like they need more of that life, and I get it. A lot of times Disney World just can't do that, because think about all the crowds that are there. You can't just have Olaf roaming the streets near Epcot because there's nowhere for him to walk.
Yeah.
So they need to find more ways to implement those things, but without overcrowding it and making it even worse. Because imagine a crowd gathering in the middle of Epcot's road where you're trying to walk around and there's an Olaf and then there's a crowd blocking from walking. Like, there's just no way for them to do that as well at Disney World. So I get it on the one hand, but still, like, it's super cool on the other hand, and I miss it.
Yeah. I got a funny story about Push the Trash Can, actually.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So whenever, I don't remember how old I was, but me and Dad were walking through Tomorrowland, because remember, there was one at Magic Kingdom, too. They had another one.
Right.
So we were walking around, and he was around there, so we were watching him, do his little thing, and he came up to me, and I had gotten a Coke from Casey's, I think, and he's like, "Hey, are you done with that?" And I was like, "Oh, no, 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 no." He goes, "Oh, okay." And so I started to drink it. And as soon as I start drinking it in his little silly robotic voice, he just starts yelling, "Chug, chug, 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 chug." And no joke, I literally spit Coke out my nose. Like, I was just laughing so hard. And he caught it. He was just like, "Ew, it came out of your nose." I'm like, I'm done with my drink now.
I'm sure after that you didn't even want to drink it anymore.
I don't want it anymore. So that's my adventure with Push the Trash.
Yes, but this is my little piece of news or whatever. If you haven't watched the We Call It Imagineering, the first, like, what is it, 3 or 4 episodes now have been just absolutely fantastic. So we've got like the castles one, the Haunted Mansion one was just so good, and I've started this robotics one. Like the few episodes that they've had so far have just been my favorite things of all time, and I hope they keep doing them. And the more people watch them, the more they'll be incentivized to actually do them. So definitely worth it. All right. Well, tonight, Spencer and I are going to geek out a little bit about Marvel, and we're going to talk about Fantastic Four, the First Steps movie. Now, okay. I want to talk about going into the movie, because going into the movie, I'm kind of at this place where I feel a little disappointed in Marvel as a whole, and wondering if they're ever going to be able to redeem themselves going into this movie. Because the last movie I'd watched before that was the new Avengers movie, Thunderbolts. And I was very not like, kind of like, this is like a second tier, Marvel movie. This felt like Eternals. So going into it, I was like, are they going to ruin Fantastic Four, which has been done? What is this, like the 3rd or 4th iteration now?
Yeah.
It's like, is this going to be as good as we thought it was? So what were your expectations kind of going into Fantastic Four? Did you know anything about it prior, or was this just all kind of new to you?
So, first off, I think I would disagree with you on Thunderbolts. I actually thought Thunderbolts was pretty good. Like, I liked it. But you are right. Going into it, there were concerns. I mean, there has never been a good Fantastic Four movie. I've watched all of them except the one that's never been released from the 90s, and all of them are bad. Like,
I feel like the cartoons of Fantastic Four have always been better than the actual, like, movies portion of Fantastic Four.
For sure. So I went into it with that, and I would say I was not set on the cast. Like, before seeing the trailer, I wasn't sure if Pedro Pascal was Reed, but then I saw the trailer, I'm like, no, he has the vibe of Reed. But the one thing I wasn't really sure about was the Silver Surfer. Like, I wasn't sure if I was really going to like that change that they made. I'm kind of traditional. But
no, I agree with you.
I would say that I was excited. I was equally excited because I knew this is going to have to lead into Avengers Doomsday. And if we get into spoiler territory, we can talk about that aspect of it that does have some connection with Avengers Doomsday. So I was cautiously optimistic, I would say, going into it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I felt like okay, now side note, you made the statement. So Pedro Pascal, I feel like Disney is using him for everything right now.
Yes.
And I feel like he's become that guy that they're using.
Yes.
And frankly, I was a little bit nervous because he's been in so many things, but like his last superhero movie role, Wonder Woman, I was like, oh. But then, I mean, he redeemed himself with Mandalorian, so like, okay, is he gonna be good in Fantastic Four? Please be good in Fantastic Four, because we need a good Fantastic Four. And I was a little bit nervous about it, so I do agree with you there. And I also agree that, like, I had heard good things, mostly from Spencer, actually, that you kept saying, go watch this movie. I was just so apprehensive that I didn't watch it in theaters. I waited until it came out on Disney Plus because I didn't want to get like it was the same with Thunderbolts. I didn't want to go into the theaters and then be so disappointed, then felt like I wasted my money. So waiting until Disney Plus, I think, was the right call for me for Thunderbolts. For Fantastic Four, I was kind of mad I didn't listen to you, Spencer. I was kind of mad that I didn't go see Fantastic Four in theaters. Okay, so now we're gonna go into, I think, a little bit of I'm not gonna care about spoilers section anymore. So this was your warning. If you're listening beyond this point, I mean, overall first impressions and all that we're going to go into, but at this point beyond, I'm not going to care about spoilers. So go watch the movie on Disney Plus and come back and listen to it from here on out, because I'm not going to care about spoilers anymore.
Don't forget about us.
Yeah. Yeah, come back and listen to us for sure. All right. Let's talk about our first impressions. So, like, this is our overview of the movie, not necessarily like our in-depth detailed review type thing. So, like, overall first impressions, when you saw the movie and it started up, you're getting into it, did you feel like this met your expectations as a Fantastic Four movie, or what did you think?
I think that from the get-go, they nailed the aspect and the dynamics of the Fantastic Four. I think
Yeah.
that they're just a group that has always been treated very carefully with Marvel, and Marvel's I mean, they're the first family. But if you read the comics or you do any research on them, you recognize that they have very specific dynamics with each other. Not
Right.
even just the fact that, apart from one, they're related, but it's just the dynamics and how they play off each other and how they quit and mess around with each other. They nailed it. And yeah, I thought that aspect especially, they knew they needed to get that right, and in my opinion, they succeeded.
Yeah, I feel like when I was looking at the characters, I feel like they nailed the character personalities in a really excellent way. Like, I was a little bit nervous about the whole baby dynamic right from the get-go, because I was like, how are they going to do this with the storyline? Because Fantastic Four, I mean, pretty much your major villains beyond like Thanos or Kang, your major villains are all going to come from the Fantastic Four storyline for the
Oh,
most part.
yeah.
Like Galactus and even Silver Surfer. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then you've got Doctor Doom, which is one of the Avengers' major villains. All of those really come from the Fantastic Four storyline. Their origin is from that. I was a little interested in how they're going to do the storyline of Doom, because typically in the past, Doom has always gotten his powers with Reed Richards and Sue Storm and the crew, when they go up in space and absorb those cosmic radiation or whatever to get their superpowers. Typically, Doom is with them. So I was surprised when they started the origin story and Doom wasn't with them. Was that something you were kind of surprised by?
Not really,
Okay.
because the MCU especially tries their best to do things comic accurate. And the
Yeah.
thing about that is Doom going with them is not technically in the comics. That's not
Mm,
how because in the comics his powers is more magical. He's a sorcerer. Like even
okay.
in the comics currently, he's the sorcerer supreme. Like
Okay.
he has Doctor Strange's cape right now.
I gotcha.
So but he is usually very close with the Fantastic Four. And so, yeah, I was surprised that really apart from one little Easter egg, which we might get to later, like he never shows up. Like
Yeah.
he's just not a factor in this movie, which was
Right.
surprising. That
Now, did they announce who Doom was gonna be before this fantastic movie came out?
yes. So
Okay.
they announced that at last year's Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And then it was like it was before Thunderbolts came out that they did their big chair stream, which was the 5-hour live stream where it was just like like the chairs that like the director sits in on
Yes,
set,
yes, yes.
and it was the chairs that had the names of the actors, and for 5 hours it just panned from each chair of each
Yes, I remember
actor.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was how we found out they were going to be in Doomsday as well.
But I wonder if they didn't include him as part of this because he wasn't a part. They weren't sure when they were filming the movie who was going to play that role.
Yeah.
Also, I kind of feel like, and let's just kind of go into the well, I'm jumping way ahead, so let's not. But like, I think that they're playing around. I think that's something that could be dangerous for Marvel is they're playing around with these alternate timelines too much, and they need to get back to a singular timeline. And that's kind of my overall impressions of the initial, like, going into it is like, I liked this as a standalone story. Just leave it as a standalone story. Like,
Yeah.
don't try and add it and make it fit into the multiverse that they're trying so desperately to hold on to. Like, just make this a good Fantastic Four movie and leave it
Yeah.
at that. Like, because they didn't go into multiverse yet. They haven't
No.
that we know of other than in credits from other movies and stuff, right? So
Yeah.
like
They
we
will.
don't know, yeah, we don't know anything more, but we know that that's probably coming, but
Yeah.
without getting too far ahead in our notes. But it's just kind of one of those things where it makes me nervous about the multiverse story being so heavily like they're trying to hold on to it for dear life that it's kind of like this was a good movie on its own. If you just did another Fantastic Four movie with Doom without going into the whole multiverse stuff that they've been holding on to for dear life, I think it would have been
Yeah.
a better movie in general.
The multiverse, I mean, I think it was in the Deadpool movie where he said, can we quit it with the multiverse already? It's old. Nobody wants it. And
Yeah.
it's honestly like it honestly is true. Like the multiverse has gotten stale.
Yeah, I feel like they even tried to embrace that with DC, and they realized very quickly that it wasn't going to work either. Like
Yeah.
the alternate timeline multiverse junk, it just like is getting old, and we need to go back to like Iron Man 1, Iron Man
Yeah.
2, just those storylines where it's one storyline across
Right.
one universe instead of trying to add in, like I loved John Krasinski's Reed Richards, but I don't need that
Yeah.
anymore. Like I'm ready to go back to the single good storylines for Fantastic Four.
I think it's just like I also think it was a problem that they did not properly plan out how this was all going to go. I
Yeah,
think they kind of you hear things, and what the biggest thing probably I've heard is that Disney wanted to rush this because Avengers Endgame is the second highest grossing movie of all time.
right.
So they wanted to rush because if you remember, technically, the way they announced it, we should have already gotten Secret Wars by now. When they
Yes.
first announced those movies, they said they were going to come out, both of them, in 2025.
Right. Then stinking Jonathan Majors.
Yeah. But in some ways that was a blessing in disguise because as somebody who's read both Secret Wars comics, Secret Wars is not Kang's story, it's Doom's
Yeah.
story. And so in
Yeah.
some ways I think it worked out for the better that they were able to take a step back and say, actually, let's try and switch course, but it doesn't matter if you switch course, it's going to be a little bit rough.
Yeah, I think that Jonathan Majors shifted the whole way that Marvel was looking at everything right now. But
Yeah.
I feel like instead of rushing into the next big box office hit, slow down and figure out what direction you're going. And I feel like they were kind of like, well, should we recast? Should we do this? And then they just ended up giving up and pivoting a totally different direction. So I'm
Yeah.
interested to see the future and where it goes. I
Me
think
too.
they have a lot of hard hitters that could still work. I don't know that I love, man, I keep trying to go towards the end.
Hi guys!
Ah!
I'm out in the ocean in the daytime. You see that?
Hey, how did you get out of the closet?
Don't worry about that. Look, I'm outside. The sun is raining down on me. I'm getting some rays, you know. I'm going
Hey.
behind the camera this time, but you know.
Get out of here. This is my show, not yours.
Where's Jessalyn go? I thought she was going to be here.
Oh,
She's
she ended
sick.
up not feeling well.
Oh,
so.
of course.
Yeah.
Well, y'all have a good episode. I don't really know what else to say. Look at the ocean out there. There's some dolphins out there right now. It's definitely not nighttime, and I'm definitely
I
not
was about to
hiding in
say,
a
no,
bathroom with a light.
No, it's 9 o'clock at night.
Don't worry about that. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh my word. That was great. Now
were we talking
record we record online and he can join anytime. Oh, that was epic. All right, let's jump into the storyline itself and talk about what you thought about the storyline, and then we'll go into the characters themselves. So like kind of hand in hand, storyline, characters, what do you think about that? So this is where we really get into the heavy spoilers. I was kind of expecting a more action-packed movie going into it, but I was pleasantly surprised by the storyline not being as action heavy and more focused on character building, which has been needed in Marvel for a while. And sometimes those aren't the most enjoyable movies when you're talking character building. But I feel like this was a good character building and a needed character building movie for Fantastic Four. And it wasn't so focused on the fight as much as it was focused on who these people were, which I felt like was good.
No,
What do you
I
think?
agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I said before, I felt like the character dynamics is something that they really hit home on with this movie. Just like the way the characters interact, the way they were written, it was like they were coming out of the comics, you know. Mr. Fantastic, he's just like, he's so analog brained that he's not seeing the bigger picture. He's not understanding what his wife is trying to say because he's solely focused on this thing. And then Johnny's a bit of a hothead, and the Thing is just kind of the glue that's holding them all together. And then
See, but I
Invisible
felt
Girl.
like in this movie it was different. It was a different dynamic. So first we see Reed Richards. He's a dad now. So primarily that was his focus. So he's trying to balance between what he's feeling, which is something he's never really done before, and the analytics behind his brain, like just how his brain processes things. And his brain is like, I should give this child to Galactus. It makes the most logical sense to me. But then this is my child. Like if it were somebody else's child, no issue with Reed Richards. This is my child. And then you get Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and you get the dynamic of he's normally a hothead. He doesn't care about the science-y stuff. He's just ready to blow something up. But now you get a side of him that's a little bit different, where he is now focusing on some of the science to try and help the team any way he can. Then you've got the Thing, Ben Grimm. You've got him. He is like this hard-headed, always grumpy portrayal in the previous movies. And now you've got him kind of in a character of like everybody's favorite neighborhood thing, that goes to the schools and wants to have a love life. You get this lovable character. And then you've got Sue Storm, the mom. So first the nesting, and then the trying to take care of a child while also see that the world is about to fall apart unless they can figure out this issue, and coordinating that with her role as a leader to the country. So you've got all these character dynamics that like typically Marvel doesn't build into a movie, and now they're building character stories into a movie that are contrary to the previous Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that they decided to put character ahead, and I think when it comes to the Fantastic Four, that's crucial. Like, you need them to be likable and, like deep characters, because that's who they've always been. The one thing I would say that I don't know if they necessarily hit, which other movies have done better, like this might be the only time I say this, other Fantastic Four movies did something better, but it's, and this is gonna sound really bad, but it's the fact that Ben Grimm struggles with accepting himself.
Yeah.
And that's something about his character that's always been interesting, just the fact that, you know, he's always kind of hated himself and he hates that he's just this thing. And meanwhile, in this movie, he's kind of just at peace with it already. He's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
well, you know, you don't need to apologize for anything. And I like smashing stuff. And it's like, yeah, like that's all well and good. But I also feel like you're shooting yourself in the foot for any later stories where you want to kind of explore that side of him.
See, I feel like they added a level of humor that was needed between Johnny and the Thing. When you're
Yeah.
talking about like the shaving with the beard.
Oh, yeah.
Like, after
Yeah,
the
that was
power
funny.
goes out, like moments like that added character dynamic where he is struggling with himself and his image and how he appears in front of people, but they did it in a way where it doesn't draw all the attention to the depression type mode of him. So I
Yeah.
think they gave him more depth in a sense. And then you could see it in the little jokes that they made in the jabs about the clobbering time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where he's like, that's not me. I didn't say that,
Yeah, that's the
You
cartoon.
get those, right. You get those little bits of conflict that he has in himself, but without making it the focus or tearing away from the focus of all the other characters. Because I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes it's the Ben Grimm show when it comes to Fantastic Four, and you just get this depressing guy walking around all the time. I feel like this dynamic was a lot better, more well done in that sense to be able to
Sure.
do that. So,
Yeah.
all right. What were some moments that stood out to you in the movie from a character perspective?
From a character perspective, I mean, it definitely felt like to me that Sue was the big focus of the movie. And
Yeah.
she in a lot of ways, and that's not bad. Like, I think, she took center stage, and I feel like there's a lot of great moments with her, like whenever she was showing the baby and she was like, this is why we're not giving him up, but in the same manner that he's our family, you're our family, and we're not just going to let you all die. Like,
Right.
so I felt like that was a really cool moment. And yeah, I would say that, Johnny, they gave him a good bit to do, like with the whole trying to understand the alien language. And kind of like what you had said, where it was like they gave him a more sciencey side, which, I think that was a good thing to do, because you're right. In the past, he's always been the hothead, but it's like this
Yeah.
was one of the scientists who was chosen to go up into space. He's clearly got to be smart.
Right. Yeah.
So it makes sense why they gave him something other to do. So yeah, I would say those two moments probably stuck out to me.
Yeah. What was the moment that you thought was the funniest that made you like, I can't believe this is in the movie type thing, or like that? Because like, okay, when you're talking Sue Storm, I almost cringed when she went out there. Like, why are you going out there? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I felt this emotional, like, just stay inside,
Yeah.
like type thing. But like, what were moments like that? Like either funny or like fun moments where you're just like, man, they need more of this.
I love the whole clobbering time joke. I
Yeah.
think that probably the part that made me laugh out loud. And keep in mind, I saw this with Chris and Ethan as well. And so really the part that made us all laugh was whenever they're in the wormhole and Silver Surfer's chasing them and Johnny's trying to fire. He's like, "Stop yelling at me while I'm trying to shoot hot aliens."
Yeah. That was great.
That was probably the hardest we laughed the whole movie, because it was just he's just saying it like it is. Like, he's like, "I'm not holding back.
Yeah. But I think that it was that character development that really caused the relationship with the alien language push, and then
Yeah.
the wanting to know her, not just, the villain. All right, let's talk about the villain and leading into the actual bulk of the story. So I kind of like how they introduced Galactus right off the bat, and then they focused on how they were going to protect Earth from that villain. I
Right.
like that dynamic better because usually like it's building to the villain at the end. This story felt a little bit different because it felt like
Yeah.
they were introducing the villain, major villain, right at the beginning, and then he was the sole focus for the rest of the movie, which was great to me.
Yeah.
I felt like leading into that, then they're trying to figure out everything. Oh, which by the way, side note, Herbie, stinking awesome.
Herbie is the best part of the movie, I would say. How did we not mention that in the funny parts? Everything he did was funny.
I just thought about it. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, how have we not mentioned Herbie up
How
to
have we
this
not
point?
mentioned
Really?
Herbie? Herbie's awesome.
Yeah. For those of you who are maybe just like, who are we talking about? Trying to remember who Herbie is. He was the robot.
Yeah.
But I
He's
like
their little butler.
Yeah, I like when like moments like when the thing was teaching him how to make it better or how to cook,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
or
And he's
like
just like, oh, okay.
yeah, or like when they were trying to fly the spaceship and he had to jump in and help fly.
Yeah.
Like you get a bunch of different character dynamics, and then you've got the protecting, mothering Herbie who's like taking care of the baby. And so I
Yeah.
like that, all of that. And then you can't talk about the storyline without talking about how, okay, as gross as it was or whatever you think, Sue having the baby in space is the storyline. Like, so, as uncomfortable as that makes me feel to say, because I can't handle that stuff, but like
Same.
him absorbing the cosmic radiation, if you will, in when he was born is what caused him to have this cosmic desire from Galactus to want to consume literally the child that was born in cosmic radiation, because he had absorbed all of that during birth. And so now you've got this dynamic of Reed Richards trying to save his baby, but also trying to save the whole world. The dynamic of that. And then also you get those fun moments of like him trying to put together the crib while the world is,
Yeah.
in crisis to
Yeah.
protect him.
But yeah, the villain, I was obviously like super excited they were doing Galactus, and the fact that, he wasn't a cloud this time.
Right.
This time we're getting the full Galactus, so
Yeah.
definitely highlight for sure. And like you said, it was like they kind of just introduced him and then they ran away, and the whole movie's just spent on how to beat him, where I feel like a lot of those movies, like you said, like you kind of like usually the hero and the villain are evenly matched. And
Right.
so it's just kind of like a duke it out type thing. It was like, but this, it was like, no, like there's no competition.
Right.
He's stronger than you.
Right. And okay, let's talk about, and I'll let you talk more because I feel like I've talked a lot. When they first meet Galactus, that epic World Eater spaceship thing that he's attached to, like basically his stomach and mouth.
Yeah, it's the I believe it's called the Ta-2, and yeah, it was like really cool looking. It just looked like a giant drill had just gone through the entire planet. And
Yeah. I thought that was one of the coolest moments in the movie, where they're showing the planet before just being utterly destroyed.
yeah,
And then he's just sitting there, and this whole thing is working around him to basically consume this planet for him. And
right.
it's just like, that shows the magnitude of how massive this villain is.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I feel like underrated. Galactus is no idiot, and he's no small villain. Like he's a massive villain, one of the biggest villains.
Pun
but
intended.
yeah, both figuratively and literally. No. But yeah, I feel like they did him justice in a way that they haven't done justice in some of the other Fantastic Four movies as well.
I agree. And they didn't kill him or anything. Like, they just sent him away. So, like,
But
definitely,
that gives him a chance to come back, which I think is interesting because I think he will, or has the potential to.
I think you're actually gonna see him really soon.
You think in Doom?
Not Doomsday. I think he'll be in Secret Wars because he does play a part in that comic, and I think he'll be there.
Maybe that would be interesting. Are we gonna get a Secret Wars now?
Yes. So
Okay.
Doomsday is next year.
Okay.
It'll be the 1-2 punch like Infinity War Endgame. So Doomsday, then stuff's gonna go down in Doomsday. Secret Wars is gonna resolve what all happens in Doomsday.
I gotcha. Because before it was supposed to be Secret Wars and then Doomsday, right?
It was Kang Dynasty in Doomsday. That was the plan back before
Okay.
Jonathan Majors. And they wanted to do Secret Wars. It's the biggest event in Marvel. It's bigger than the Infinity War. Like, this is the big one. So they knew they wanted to do that. Originally, they wanted Kang, which was a mistake. So, but now they have to kind of lay the groundwork in Doomsday of what's going to happen in Secret Wars.
See, but I feel like it wasn't a mistake if Kang would have, come to fruition. Kang is a huge villain, like bigger than Thanos villain in the comic book. In the comic books, I would say he's a bigger villain than Thanos would be. I mean, you're talking about a guy who can control what, like, sure, Thanos can control time with the Infinity Stones or whatever, but Kang was even more wicked with that.
He was pretty good at time.
Yeah, they hadn't gotten into the complete magnitude of who Kang was yet. So,
and he got beaten by a bunch of ants.
Yeah,
so, like...
that's true. All right, let's talk about Galactus and Silver Surfer from a graphic perspective and the movie from a graphics perspective, because they basically had to create this whole world around them, from the mole people, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, but also to the like world building, 80s but futuristic type theming that they've got going on, which I thought was excellent how they did all of that and how they mixed old and new to make it like super unique in that sense. What did you think about all that?
Oh, the aesthetics were on point. Like, it looked like the Jetsons, but in real life. Like, that was the whole style where, you have the flying cars and it's like futuristic but dated. Where like even Herbie's face is a cassette tape.
Right.
Like, it's still like, it's futuristic, but it's also not at the same time. And that just, that fit their whole vibe so well. So that definitely was a strength of the movie, I thought. As for Surfer and Galactus, I thought they both looked great. I think the CGI problems Marvel has had they've been fixing that. I think they took a step back and they said we need to slow down because our animators are being worked to the bone, and it's at the end of the day it's putting out bad product.
Right.
So I think that I rewatched it recently, and off the top of my head, apart from maybe the baby, I don't remember there ever being bad CGI.
Yes, I do remember moments where the baby was like, oh, come on.
A little uncanny.
Yeah. Like, didn't feel natural, which, I mean, I get it, though, but I also wouldn't want to work with a real baby in this type of movie either.
No, it's understandable. And, I mean, they're already, just judging off the end credit scene, we already know they fixed that problem with the baby.
Right. Okay, so we're talking about this world that they've built. I feel like the old school with the new shows the genius of Reed Richards being ahead of his time in a way that he's inventing all these things that the world has become so reliant on, but yet they're still kind of living in the past in a sense because they're relying completely on the genius of Reed Richards, which I think is pretty stinking neat, like how they did all of that. I do think that the graphics were way more advanced than what they've been, and I feel like Disney Plus played a part in their downturn a little bit when they
Absolutely.
started trying to crank out all those series so quickly through Disney Plus. I feel like that's when they really started to hurt as a company, because they were trying to produce basically what two studios should have been done in one studio, and they're used to producing these high intense cinematic movies, and now they're trying to break it up into 8-piece series. When you're talking a 2.5 hour movie for this, now you're talking an 8-hour TV series that you're trying to produce at the same high level as this 2.5 hour movie, and it just doesn't work. Like, there's not enough time for them to get it done well. So I feel like taking a step back from the Disney Plus series, as much as I enjoyed that era for a season, and focusing on the more cinematic movies has really helped them to advance in their movies as a whole. I don't know.
think
That's just how I feel.
No, I agree, and I think you're gonna see a shift in how they even go about Disney Plus anymore.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Disney Plus is gonna be more like what they're doing with Daredevil. It's gonna be more street focused. It's gonna be
Yep.
lower budget. Kind of like, I mean, it's basically gonna be what they did with Netflix, I think, is
Right.
that's what they're looking to go back to. And I also don't think that you're gonna see the TV connect as much with the movies as they tried to do, because it was also confusing. It was just way too much.
Yeah. But then, like, that's where I feel like Thunderbolts was such a disconnect for me, because they relied heavily on the Disney Plus series to extend that storyline. A lot of
Yes.
those characters, if you didn't watch the Disney Plus series or those low budget second tier movies, like you're talking the Black Widow movies, in my opinion, a second tier movie from Marvel. Do you agree?
Yeah, I wasn't a
Yeah.
big like, I like the Red Guardian and I like Yelena, but those were the only two highlights from that movie.
Right. And they tried to take all those characters and make them main characters. I think they were trying, in a sense, to recreate Guardians, because those were second tier characters that they made first tier. But I think that it was proven that, like, even James Gunn, that was a fluke, because now that he's over at DC, he's not having the same success as what Guardians did,
Yeah.
and I think Guardians was just a good, happy fluke that we got.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think the writing was better.
yes, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I would definitely agree that, like, but it was a well done second tier group that made it into a first tier level movie series.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's been their problem, and that led, like we said, to the whole graphics budget being just down the drain, was that they were doing so much. And that's what I was saying earlier. I think that Disney really pushed them to
Yeah,
populate Disney Plus.
right,
And at the end of the day, like you said, this was one studio trying to do two studios' jobs. And they
right,
just kind of collapsed under the pressure. And Thunderbolts was just one thing where it was like, yeah, if you would have had some of these be movies and maybe they would have been a little bit more better quality, then maybe we would care about some of these characters better.
right. All
But
right.
they just weren't.
Now let's talk overall big picture to end of movie, right? So we get this Reed Richards building this machine to try and stop Galactus. We get this character development of this unknown character, the Silver Surfer, who we're trying to figure out who they are and what they're about. And then Galactus finally gets to Earth with the intentionality of consuming Sue Storm and Reed Richards' child. And you get this epic last battle where it looks like they're gonna win. Everything is going great, and then in comes Silver Surfer and just wrecks their plan in like seconds, which
Yeah.
shows like you and I know the comics, like what is it, the Four Horsemen or something like that work for Galactus.
It's the Heralds.
Yes. So there's more than just Silver Surfer that's like Galactus's group or whatever.
Yeah,
But
he's had
like,
multiple.
right. But Silver Surfer ends up being the main one. And the character development of the Silver Surfer, I was a little nervous about, but I think they did an excellent job with how they told her story.
Yeah. I was a little bit like, when they announced that she was going to be a girl, obviously in the comics it's Norrin Rad, and to be fair, they did not like just swap the gender. This is technically a different character, because in the
Right.
comics, this is a different version of his wife who became the Silver Surfer. So it isn't unprecedented in the comics, but
Right.
I still wasn't sure. But the thing I liked that they did was they tied it into kind of some of Johnny's background that I think people were
Yes.
wondering if they were going to, because, in the past, Johnny has always been about the ladies. He's always been a ladies' man.
Right.
And I was like, how are they going to do this? But they kind of found a way to do it while also doing the Silver Surfer. So in that way, I was like, well, you kind of actually did something that, comic-wise, it works.
Right. So I think like it kind of tempered Johnny's personality a little bit when his focus is on this hot chick, as he put it, who's also one of the villains in the movie. And so now you get a tempered Johnny that's trying to figure out who this person is and what their backstory is, partially because he's in love and partially because, like you get to see a sciencey side of him, like we talked about earlier, that you don't want to. Well, now Silver Surfer comes in, wrecks their plan. They have to work with Mole Man to save everybody to make sure that they're all undercover, which I love that little Mole Man tidbit that they threw in there. I thought that was really excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we get the baby as the bait to try and lure the pivot and plan. Baby as bait, try to lure Galactus into this one little square. Now, here's where I didn't necessarily love it. Galactus is no dummy when it comes to villains. He is a hunger first, nothing has ever touched me type character. So he's maybe a little bit overconfident coming into this battle, but he's also not a dummy. So I felt like that was a little bit of an overreach, even though Reed Richards is always smarter than most people. I feel like in a sense that could be taken as a little bit of a Galactus is dumb, but he's not.
But I mean, the thing is that he figured it out pretty quick. He got up there and he saw the spikes and he was just like, really? Like, he's not there. And then he scanned off and he saw the baby in the Baxter building. He's like, I see what y'all are doing, but I'll see y'all around.
Right, but then they were still, after him seeing that, able to lure him back into that machine with Sue pushing him in.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
But okay,
you have to do something.
Right. He goes away. He goes towards the building. Sue is able to push him back in, showing her motherly protection just kicking in. And then you see the baby saving Sue, which I thought was an excellent way to bring Sue back from just utter oblivion, fading out of existence type thing. I thought that was awesome, the way they handled all that storyline. All right, now we're going to get to the meat of it all, the one we've been waiting for. Now you see the end credits scene, and you see Reed walking into a room looking for the baby, or Sue walking into the room looking for the baby, and who's standing there with the baby? None other than Doom himself. It's like, what?
It was I saw it in the theater twice, actually. So the first time I saw it was with my girlfriend's family, and I was sitting next to her cousin, and she was also with me, but keep in mind, she knows nothing about Marvel. I think she was just there because I forced her to come, probably. So I'm sitting there, and we're watching it, and we kind of see her get nervous, and me and her cousin, who were both in the know, we're just like, oh. And then it shows the cloak, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's Doom. And my girlfriend's like, what? And I'm like, ah! But no,
some people were probably lost, and then the people who know the comics are like, yes.
Yes. And it's the fact like, first off, you see that he's holding his mask, so it
Right.
looks like Franklin fixed his face, first off, because
Yeah.
it should be fused to his face. But second off, it I wouldn't say it gives away because we obviously don't know, but it's going to show a little bit of what Doom is planning for Doomsday. Because the thing about Franklin is he's like the most powerful character in Marvel.
Right.
So the fact that he's taking him shows that he's probably using him for what's going to happen in both Doomsday and Secret Wars.
Yeah. I think he's going to be an excellent villain moving forward. I think the progression now I'm excited to see with this new Doomsday movie coming out next year. I'm interested to see how they move forward with it. But I definitely agree with you. Compared to the original Fantastic Four with, like, the Jessica Albas, and then the new ones with the what's his name?
Oh, the dude from Top Gun?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. I can't think of his name. I had Michael B. Jordan as Human
Yeah,
Torch.
Michael B. Jordan and that kid that's now
Miles
making
Teller.
it in Miles Teller. Yeah, he's like in everything now.
Yes.
So like you get those characters, and I thought that those were well done, but I thought this was the first movie that I genuinely enjoyed in a while. Now, back when those were just coming out, those original movies, I was like, oh, these are good. But this one I like want to go back and watch
Yeah.
again, and I'm excited to be able to watch it. All right. Any last thoughts about the movie? What was your overall impression at the end? Like, does it make you excited and hopeful for Marvel again?
I'm excited to see where they go in the future. I think that they have a lot of good opportunities here to build off of what's been established, both
Yep.
for Doomsday, but even, like, I saw somebody say this and I agreed. I'm like, this is one of the first times where I left saying, I want to see more from these guys.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see when is the next time I get to see them in a movie. And
Right.
it's like with the Thunderbolts, it was like, it was good, but I don't know if I would say I'm ready to see what's next with them. And even a lot of the other characters where it's just like, I don't know, like they're just around, but it's like, no, I want to see more of the Fantastic Four. I want to see
Yep.
what their next adventure is going to be. So, yeah, I would really like to see more from them. I thought that the movie really did a good job of bringing them back into the focus, because like after, especially with the Miles Teller movie, because that movie was just a hot mess. There's documentaries about why that movie was so bad. But, like, especially because keep in mind, Fox owned Fantastic Four and X-Men. Disney owned the Avengers. Yeah. Disney kind of tried to erase the Fantastic Four and the X-Men from modern. Yeah. Like, I have a poster in my room that was pre-Disney Fox acquisition of Marvel characters. There is no Fantastic Four. There is no X-Men on that poster.
Yeah.
And that's really sad that a lot of the executives just wanted to pretend they didn't exist because their movie rights were controlled by another studio.
Yeah.
But they're back now, and I'm really happy that they're back.
All right, now that they own Fox and they own a lot back of Marvel, sure, Sony still holds on to some of it with the Spider-Man rights, but do you want to see a reboot of X-Men now?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already working on it. Like, they already announced a director for it.
I need that because X-Men is such a cool part of Marvel that they're just missing right now. It's a huge gap.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that some of the X-Men villains and stuff too, you just need as a part of the Marvel universe. And I think that would be a good, after they get through these Avengers series, like just build upon that X-Men series type of movies.
I think that's what their plan is.
Yeah.
I've heard whispers about the next saga is just going to be the mutant saga. And like, they just want to focus on mutants and kind of take a step back a little bit, which I think is the right call. But the director of Thunderbolts is already attached to the X-Men reboot.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I think let's get through this Doomsday Secret Wars series. Let's start focusing on more individual movies like Spider-Man or Ant-Man,
Yes.
like those individual movies with the characters that are left. And then give me more of the um X-Men series moving forward. Focus on standalone movies still because you've got a lot of characters you can play with. Keep going with the Spider-Man series. Keep going with build a new Guardians of the Galaxy series and bring in what's that guy that he's Nova
Nova.
Nova. Bring in Nova and rebuild a new Guardians of the Galaxy series with Nova in it. That would be a cool storyline. And get Spider-Man to go on adventures with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think those types of things would be epic to do moving forward. Stop focusing on the big storylines from Avengers after these two and just build on this other whole universe that you've basically forgotten in X-Men and move forward with that. Go to what are those big robots from X-Men? The Sentries?
Sentinels.
I was like really close. It was on the tip of my tongue.
You almost had it.
So build on the Sentinel storyline. Like those are epic. And I thought they did a good job with the First Class series building on the Sentinels with the CGI aspect of them, like making modern versions of those.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that if they rebuilt, started from scratch, built up to those types of storylines with X-Men and even beyond, man, you could have some cool things. And then, build on other characters that they still have that are alive.
Fantastic Four.
Let's leave the era of Captain America behind and Iron Man and start focusing on the characters that they do have left and rebuilding it. The only thing I'm a little apprehensive about is Robert Downey Jr. being Doom. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm going to be interested to see if they just try to play it off as multiverse or if there's another aspect to this story that they're going to try to do or if they're just going to ignore it altogether. I am really interested to see how they play that off.
I hope that they I think we all felt when they did that cast announcement that we were like, oh, this is the panic button. That's what it felt like when they said, hey, Robert Downey's coming back. It was like, oh, y'all panicked. That's what you did. Because they guaranteed him $100 million.
Yep.
So I think that's what we are all feeling, but I hope there's a good story and a good reason why. Because, if you're bringing him back for just putting butts in seats, then that's not a good enough reason. But if you had a story reason and you were like, this story doesn't work unless RDJ is back, then I'm down. And I want to see what you've come up with. Yeah,
exactly. That's kind of the way I feel about it. That's going to be my next, let's see where this goes type thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Spencer, for coming and geeking out with me on Marvel this week. I really appreciate it. I'm excited. I know you're not going to get to go the whole time, which is a little disappointed, but I'm excited about our trip in January. And I know you don't get to go, but I think you've done this before, the Keys to the Kingdom tour.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, we've just officially got our booking this week for the Keys to the Kingdom tour for our trip in January. And so I know you don't get to go this time around, but I'm super excited to be able to do this.
Yeah. Maybe we could do a role reversal and I will host you and Noah to talk about the Keys to the Kingdom tour. Because I'm the experienced one here.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. And then our next Marvel movie, we'll have to bring you back and do another Marvel discussion for sure.
I think it's Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man's the next one.
Yeah, I think so. They've been quiet about that movie. Have you noticed that? The only thing I've heard about that movie so far, the only thing is that Tom Holland got hurt. Beyond that, they've been pretty hush about that whole series.
I know. The only thing I do know is that the Punisher is in it.
Yeah. And I hear that they're going to bring in a Gwen type character. Maybe.
We'll see.
Or a
I'm also
Spider
curious to
Girl,
see.
like, type character. So there's rumors going around, but nothing's
I'm just
confirmed.
curious how you PG-13 the Punisher, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, for real. They didn't do it in the Daredevil series, so I don't know how they're going to do it in the next one. So, Well, thanks again for coming on and for filling in for Jessalyn, who's sick, and for Noah, who's on vacation without you. That stinking Noah. No, but I appreciate you joining us. And so thank you again. And that's going to do it for today's episode. And we really appreciate Spencer jumping on and filling in for us this week. Not really a fill-in. You're our Marvel guy.
I got you.
Marvel and Star Wars, always.
Absolutely.
Well, all right. That's going to do it for today's episode. And now we are not going to switch to the same pre-recorded message we played last week.
It's the same message.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our show. Before you go, please don't forget to gather your belongings and head over to our email at carouselpod@gmail.com to ask us your questions. Oh, and wouldn't you believe it? You can now bring the magical sense of vacation right into your home. Check out the Magic Candle Company and use our exclusive link with the code CarouselPod at checkout to get 15% off your order. And don't forget, we're here to help you plan your future Disney trips. Just send us a message at rj@famvia.com. Until next time, we'll see you in a great, big, beautiful week.